Betty, how's it going? I haven't started with an astrology reading in a while, but this new moon this week is important and it requires its own attention. So I'll do this. I'll also put a timestamp in the box down below. So if you don't want to watch it, you can just skip to it. But I want to start with the last year, actually, January 10th, 2020. On that day, we had an eclipse in Capricorn. We had Saturn conjunct Pluto. And then a couple days later, Uranus over here, which was in retrograde, went direct. And of course, and anyone who has been studying astrology for a long time didn't know what was going to happen, but we knew that this was going to be a big deal. And it was, and this kind of kicked off what is essentially probably the most chaotic year we've known, certainly in our lifetimes. Now, let's take a look at, this is the new moon on the 13th here. Now, just simply by looking at the placements and the colors of the lines, you can kind of tell what the vibe is. There's like a showdown here, right? There's everybody kind of piled up here. This is for, I've actually cast this chart for Washington, D.C., in the East Coast. And interestingly enough, it happens at precisely at midnight on January 13th on the East Coast again. But over here we have Mars conjunct Uranus. And Uranus is retrograde, but this week he's stationing to go to direct, much like he did at the beginning of last year. When Uranus goes direct or retrograde, anytime he stations, he's very unpredictable. Given that he's in Taurus, usually that means like earthquakes or making the ground beneath you shake, right? So, Mars, god of war, has moved into Taurus. I don't know any about you guys, but ever since Mars has moved into Taurus, I'm sleeping like a rock. Like I haven't slept this good in quite some time. And I'm actually like getting stuff done, which is incredible. So these two are conjunct. This is not a nice conjunction. And actually, sorry, I should have said from the beginning, I don't like this new moon at all. There are two saving graces in it, but I'll take you through everything else. So Mars conjunct Uranus is not good. It's kind of like if you have a drunk, belligerent guy hanging out with an anarchist, right? And the stuff that they can sort of concoct together. And this guy's ready to blow because he's been in chains for some time. So it's finally like being able to let free. So this would be enough in a week. But then over here here's the new moon, the sun and moon at 23, 13 Cap. Now, this is the degree where Saturn and Pluto conjuncted last year in January, right? So, sorry. Right here, it's at 22:48, but then they continue traveling together for the next few days and they hit the 23. So this new moon is conjunct that conjunction from last year, which we could flip and say is a good thing. It's kind of like wiping away that energy or at least bringing a new energy to it. And the fact that it happens exactly at midnight, right, particularly on the East Coast, is kind of like a new day, literally the dawning of a new day. So it's like whatever happened here before, something new is going to be taking place. So in a way, almost rewriting what happened last year, or at least creating a new storyline. But then we have over here Saturn and Jupiter, which are conjunct. Oh, sorry. No, hold on. I'm not done. So yes, so you have the new moon here, Sun and Mars conjunct on the degree where Saturn and Pluto met last year. And this is conjunct Pluto. Now, Pluto conjunct Sun, Pluto conjunct Moon, anyone who has those in their charts know that those are very intense aspects. They bring control issues. They bring power issues. They bring, when provoked, a sense of like, I will blow this down. Like, I will take you out. And Pluto conjunct Moon in particular can be extremely intense, right? Like desiring the most intense level of emotions possible. It is also, of course, a death and rebirth, because that's what Pluto is. So that's why I say there's like a little bit of hope that what this unpleasant energy will bring us is, kind of like taking it out so that you can start over, or at least letting you get to another level to build something else, healing through crisis. Then over here we have Saturn conjunct Jupiter in Uranus. This is nice energy. These guys are still working on like, how do we heal humanity? How do we fix this? However, they are fighting almost exactly over here. Saturn square Mars, not nice. And then Jupiter square Uranus, also not nice. And then both of them are conjunct, so basically they're both squaring both of these. So there's this big giant fight that's going down. You have these three planets here, like, we need to like completely redo things here. We need a new start. Shit's got to start over. And then these guys are fighting about how it gets done, because this is Taurus, so it's fixed, so they don't want to change. They want things to stay the way they are, and they're willing to fight for it. And then these guys over here are like, no, we got to take care of everybody. We got to fix things. With humanity's a mess. And so there's a real battle, excuse me, between these two energies. A battle of the old way, the new way, and whether it's not, Taurus can be very selfish. And so it's like, it's kind of an I versus we energy here. The anarchist against the state. Or it could also be like, if you wanted to, like a David and Goliath. Again, there's no, in these energies, there's no right and wrong. Well, we can debate that later, but, what is happening is, this is the energy, right? So there is someone who wants to restructure humanity. This one wants to like expand our definition of humanity, our definition of feeling good, our definition of hopes and wishes. Like, we can be better, we can be more, we can have this. And then this guy, these two are going to egg each other on to like, no, stay fixed. Like, now we're really focused. We want to stay focused. We need to stay focused. We don't have time to think about those big things. So there's a whole bunch of conflict here. And then on top of it, as if that wasn't enough, we have Neptune over here in Pisces, exactly squaring the North Node and the South Node, right? And so what he's saying is, Neptune in Pisces is like the poet, right? Like, can't we all just get along kind of thing, where he's stuck in between the past and the future. And what he's saying is, if you want to evolve, if you want to heal, if you want to grab that next level of spirituality, if you want to touch God, if you want to receive the enlightenment, then you must evolve. You must make a choice between the past or the future. And so it's interesting, because he's also literally right in the middle of this fight, which is interesting. Now, we also have, so that's the bad news, which is like pretty much across the board. And the Sabian here for this is interesting. It's called A Woman Entering a Convent. And I'll start there because with the other positive sides, because the woman entering a convent is a big decision, right? A radical decision, a decision that completely changes your life, changes your time, how you've spent it. It's like your life before evaporates and you have another one dedicated in the convent, dedicated to God. But like who you were, the way you dress, the way you thought, the people that you saw, your daily routine, all that goes away by one very simple gesture, right? She simply walks across the threshold of this convent and her whole life is changed. For the better. It's her choice. It was a choice that she made. And so also talking about how your choices can have very like life altering effects on you. So like one simple change really changing your life. Now the positive notes here. So we have Venus, who's kind of like left out here in the cold. Now this is a cold Venus, right? She's Venus in Capricorn, so she's very concrete. She's not like flighty like she would be in Sagittarius or dispersed. She has very focused energy. She's extremely grounded, and she's looking at this. And she too. So hold on. So she trines she trines Mars and Uranus. Okay. So she's kind of like, guys, you sure you want to do this? Perhaps there's a smarter way we can get what we want. Perhaps there is a better way than doing it. Perhaps you don't need to start a war to achieve what it is that you're looking for. So she's a bit like the note of diplomacy, not only diplomacy, but also like strategy. Hey, maybe blowing shit up isn't the smartest way to get your point across. Maybe we can make a plan, right, to build to something. So she's kind of calming these two guys down, or at least reasoning with them. And what was the other one? Here it is. Okay, Jupiter is sextiling Chiron here. So that's also a note of healing, right? That whatever Jupiter wants to do is really to help aid to heal this wound, whatever it is in your life, in the bigger picture, that it's really about healing. Now, one other side note is that the Venus here is, she's squaring that Chiron. So there's a choice to be made here in order to have that healing. She's like, I can tell them what you want and I can get them to be quiet, but you're going to have to make a choice about healing something in order for this to happen. Okay, so it's quite, like I said, it's quite an animated moon, I have to say. We may not see the impacts immediately. I certainly see, like, just in my own personal sphere, what's going on. The governments are obviously at the forefront of the news right now. What's going on in Hong Kong, in the United States, in the UK, even here in Italy, we had our one of the government guy. So there's a government, like we have coalition governments here, and it requires that everybody be part of the team, right, in order to move things along. And then one guy decided, like, nah, I'm going to pull out and cause an entire crisis. And everybody's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, why now? We really need everyone together in order to get through this. Why are you playing, play your political games in 6 months, in a year, when we're quiet, when we can get out of our houses. And so this game, actually, for him, this selfishness game is not playing out the way that he hoped, because he's finding a lot less support from the tribe than he would have liked. And even the people are like, usually the people here, like we like a good government collapse, but this time they're like, nah, now is not the time. Like, we don't have time for this. So these things kind of like this kind of little war over here can sometimes not play out the way you think it's going to go because of the Uranus. And can end up having the exact opposite effects, because basically with what this guy did by, he revealed his cards for who he really is. He's always been like, no, I'm the good politician. These guys are old school. And really he just came out as being like, just in it for himself, like pretty much everybody else in politics. Anyway, So yes, so I expect to see a lot of animation in the political scene this week. Now, looking at some of the other transits, there's not too many. As I said, Uranus goes direct on the 14th. And then that's everything else. We talked about these squares and conjunctions and whatnot. No, there is something I did want to mention. So usually, every year we have usually about like 3-4 weeks when all of the planets are direct, and frequently those are degrees that will never be touched again. And so it's a great time to put things into motion, to get things going, to cast big nets. This year in particular, we don't have that because Mercury goes retrograde early. So he starts the first retrograde on the 30th, which means that already around the 15th or 16th, he's going to be in shadow mode. And with Uranus going direct on the 14th, that leaves us a very small window of time. So basically, the 15th of the month of January is the one day we're going to have where it's kind of like clean from repetitive energy. After that, we have from the 15th to the 30th, all planets are direct. So that is a great time to move things forward, get projects going. If you wanted to start something new, or if you want to go to a new level, if you're thinking about that woman entering the convent, the 15th to the 30th is going to be a good time to do that. And it may actually, interestingly enough, come as a result of whatever happens because of this new moon. So the new moon's going to definitely bring us some sort of conflict, chaos, whatever, that forces us to make a choice about our own personal spiritual and other evolution and healing, right? Like, how do we want to take ourselves to the next level? What vision do we have for the next chapter of our life? Particularly with this Neptune squaring the nodes right now. It's like, what do you want? What are your dreams? Like, what is your spiritual being? How is it evolving here on this planet? So I think we're going to see a lot of development of that personally, spiritually, maybe even professionally, because obviously this new moon happens for us in our 10th house. So definitely some new beginnings, definitely some crises points, definitely some choices coming up. And then we may find that we spend the rest of January making some big moves, big, bold moves that help us level up or take us to the next point, or, can even be as transformational as deciding to enter into the convent. Anyway, let me get to the cards now.